Story 1. People say men do not cry. My dad was a stoic rock at my wedding, but when the Terminator Model 800 gives the thumbs up at the end of Terminator 2, he cried full on waterworks every single time. Story 2. I grew up in a religious environment, so women were said to have sex for only two reasons: as a wifely duty to their husbands or as evil temptresses trying to trap men in sin. I was led to believe women did not want or enjoy sex, so I felt guilty thinking it was something men forced upon them. This seriously affected my ability to date because feelings of attraction felt selfish and exploitative. Story 3. I used to think men didn't like affection unless it led to sex. Then I met my boyfriend, who often holds my hand for no reason at all, simply because he loves it. Story 4. Women are cleaner and less cluttered than men. I've been to a lot of women's places and thought, damn, you live like this? Story 5. People say that men are not particularly emotional, but my husband is far more emotionally in touch with life than I am. The idea that men do not want or need tender loving care or flowers is false. His face lights up when I give him flowers. It's wonderful. Story 6. I'm going to comment on my gender. I am a man. For a long time, I did not think it was normal or okay for men to go to therapy. However, therapy has changed my life for the better and helped me get sober. Do not internalize that. It is slow suicide. Story 7. Most stereotypes about men and women have been challenged in my life. I grew up in theater, so I'm sure that helped. Story 8. They do not actually shed their skin every couple of months as if they were snakes. Story 9. I am a 6'7" man who cries easily. People think I cannot cry at this height, or that I should not because of my gender and high visibility. These are not things I believe, but things I was told by exes who were uncomfortable that I had deep feelings given my size. What? Story 10. Is any blanket statement about a gender always a myth? Story 11. Some people believe women only like men with money and washboard abs. I am poor and overweight, yet I have attracted plenty of women just by existing. I still have other attractive qualities, though I am not close to a supermodel or conventionally attractive. These insecure men hyper-focus on looking like a model, and it drives me insane. Story 12. I was told that there would never be a man who could accept me for who I am. Every woman in my family told me during my childhood that I had to become a completely different person to get a husband. Story 13. I will speak as a woman about women. Not all women experience severe pain during their period. Many do, but many do not. Not everyone becomes moody. It does not always happen. Story 14. Men do not gossip or spread rumors. It surprised me when lies spread about me like wildfire in a male-dominated industry. Story 15. I've always hated the narrative that all men cheat. That was very common in my culture because of misleading ideas about masculinity, chauvinism, and machismo. I've met people of all genders who cheated and others who were cheated on. In my opinion, infidelity is not a gender issue. It is an integrity issue. Story 16. Men gossip and engage in banal conversations. The myth that women are yappy and men are not is ridiculous. Story 17. Every sexual stereotype, even those that are true for many men or women, is completely wrong for some people. It blows my mind how many myths we believed in the 1970s based on no logic or evidence. Thankfully, things have improved a lot. Story 18. I used to believe that women are perfect angels who are completely in touch with their emotions, are excellent communicators, and have only pure intentions toward others. Unless they are crazy, in which case they are evil scarlet letter witches who exist only to manipulate and get their way. I am being hyperbolic, but I had clearly internalized the Madonna whore complex quite strongly. I also believe that men are extremely logical and stoic and exist to ultimately sacrifice themselves for their family, but somehow are also big, brutish, unreasonable, and always angry. It turns out this approach to life is completely unrealistic and terrible for building and maintaining meaningful connections with other people. It sounds so obvious now, but it took a long time for me to realize that the vast majority of men and women are essentially the same. Flawed, self-interested, looking for connection, and trying their best, with a few sad exceptions on both sides. Story 19. It is not exactly a myth. But I recently learned that men sometimes wear belts as part of their outfit and often simply to keep their pants from falling down. Story 20. A teacher once blamed me for something a girl had done, even though there were witnesses, and said to me, "Now, Thomas, we both know that girls do not do things like that." She had knocked a boy off the high bar. He fell on his head, and she ran off laughing. You will not find it in her permanent record. You will find it in mine. Why? Because girls do things like that. Edited to add, it was the 1970s. I am a baby boomer. Yes, she really said that. Story 21. I was taught that they are irrational, manipulative, and generally less capable than we would like them to be. Attributing these qualities to one gender is false. The vast majority of adults exhibit these traits. Story 22. That women are incapable of logic and reason and that they just cannot during menstruation. The 1970s. Geez. Story 23. I used to believe that women had a greater capacity for empathy than men. That is either not true at all or the gap is significantly smaller than I thought. Story 24. It's not quite the prompt, but it is one that kind of annoys me. Some claim that boys are easier to raise than girls. They are not. Boys simply do not complain when their emotional needs are not met. Most people who say that are admitting they neglect their sons. Story 25. Everything. We are all just people. Fundamentally, we are the same. Story 26. Some people think that men do not share the same emotions as women. I am a 44-year-old woman, and looking back I am ashamed of how I treated men when I was younger. I have 3 children, and because of my 16-year-old son, I now know that men do, in fact, have feelings. To the men out there, I am sorry that some women do not always understand this. Story 27. As a woman, I believed the myth that women gossip and cause more drama. Everyone gossips. It is an important part of building community and communicating. Men also cause just as much drama. The difference is in how it is handled and discussed. Story 28. They say men don't like to gossip? Oh boy, they love it. I thought it was just my dad. Story 29. My mother told me that women will only have sex with you if they want something more or want to be in a relationship. I was confused when women did not want to be in a relationship after sex. Story 30. Some people think women should be as young and as thin as possible to appeal to men. In reality, many men are attracted to older women and to a variety of body shapes and sizes. Right now, at my oldest and heaviest, I'm having the best sex of my life with a very attractive man. Story 31. Keeping his belly full and his bowels empty is not all there is to it. You also need to pet him, play with him, and help him when he gets stuck behind the refrigerator. I was shocked. Story 32. I was raised to believe women are always more mature than men, but I think women are generally better at appearing mature and presenting a corporate-friendly image. I have met many women who use mind games, the silent treatment, passive-aggressive behavior, and bratty entitlement, none of which I would call maturity. Story 33. Men are less emotional than women and have much better control of their emotions. Story 34. Women are not funny. No, it turns out that the sense of humor of my mother annoys me for some reason. Story 35. Some say men are less dramatic than women, but the amount of drama I have witnessed from men is astonishing. Story 36. I used to believe that women were unsuitable for high government office when I was a child. My worldview has definitely changed since then. Story 37. People say that men want sex all the time, but I have not found one yet. They want it, but I want it much more. Story 38. I was told that men hated kids and that being a father was something forced on men. My father often called us nothing but mouths to feed, which did not help dispel that idea. To be fair, my mother was not mean about him. He put that idea in my head by the way he treated us. There were teen pregnancy scares, and we were told that no man would love you if you became pregnant before marriage. It was not until my mid-20s that I saw my guy friends not only welcome fatherhood but look forward to it. It blew my mind. Story 39. Women do not lay eggs. Imagine my dismay when I went to fetch fresh eggs from my wife one morning and found none. Story 40. The assumption that women are natural parents is common. However, there are plenty of women who should not be allowed anywhere near children. The bigger problem is that men are generally raised to think those feelings are unmanly, while girls are encouraged to play house. Story 41. The way boys treat women is due to their biological makeup. Then I grew up, dated a real man, and realized that 90% of the men I have met were raised poorly by both their parents and society. Story 42. The claim that men are logical and women are emotional is blatantly false. Story 43. I need the men in here to know that periods do not sync up. That is a myth. Story 44. Some people tell children that if someone is mean to them, it means that person likes them. That is not true. If someone is mean to you, they are simply mean. Find someone who treats you the way you want to be treated. Story 45. They say that women are more emotional. My ex-boyfriend cried during every single Pixar movie and would get genuinely angry over video games. Meanwhile, I am over here dead inside. Story 46. I genuinely thought you men were joking when you said you could sit there and think of nothing. Absolutely no thoughts, just vibes. It is completely baffling to me. Story 47. As a woman, I thought feminism was bad. I did not understand that feminism is about fighting for equality, not about pushing the other gender down, but about changing society. Story 48. My dad said that any woman who expresses her sexuality is a temptress, slut, or hussy. I had to look it up. He said she is working for the devil. Story 49. Some people say men do not care about compliments or affection. Most men I know are just as starved for genuine compliments as anyone else. They simply do not receive them as often, so when they do, they remember them for years. Everyone wants to feel appreciated. Story 50. Men don't catch feelings as quickly. In fact, multiple studies show the contrary. Story 51. I thought girls were clean and had good hygiene. Then I cleaned a public restroom at my first job. The women's bathroom was always worse than the men's bathroom. Story 52. I am a 19-year-old male. I thought girls were innocent until I discovered I was the innocent one all along. Story 53. I used to believe that it was impossible or extremely rare for women to be involuntarily single. Story 54. As a man, I have found that men are often more sensitive than women and less able to take jokes. The more masculine they are, the worse they tend to take them. Story 55. That women do not engage in locker room talk. I'm a nurse, and the things you hear at the nurse's station can be completely disgusting. Story 56. Although some say men and women are opposite counterparts, in my experience they are not that different deep down. Story 57. Men are gallant and protect women. Men are rational. Story 58. I was raised to believe that all men are toxic. My mother was married to a very toxic man, my father, and she taught me never to be comfortable around men. It was not until I was older and more mature that I realized what healthy masculinity is and how comfortable I could be around men who embody it. Story 59. Claims that women are better at spelling and English while men are better at math and spatial awareness are nonsense. So are claims that men are emotionally stronger, that men cannot provide the same care to a child as women, that men are inherently selfish and women must excuse that behavior, and that women are worse drivers than men. When these stereotypes are abandoned, people of all genders live happier and more confidently. I believe these stereotypes were invented to make people in abusive marriages feel it is normal to shrug things off by saying that women are like that or that all men are like that. Story 60. The idea that men and women cannot be friends because a man will always want something more. Story 61. Hey everyone. I don't think we've all repeated the same 3 points enough. Please provide your unique wording. Story 62. Women have unreasonable expectations for a partner and are looking for opportunities to cheat. Story 63. What women want and what attracts them are two different things. Story 64. Maybe this will sound stupid, but until I was 13 or 14 I believed girls pooped from their breasts. I thought that was why the women's restroom was separate. It did not occur to me at the time that this was ridiculous. I had no reason to question it, and to my 13 or 14-year-old, as it kind of looked like a butt crack. I also believed women got pregnant when their spit touched a man's spit, so I thought kissing could cause pregnancy. I believed that until I was 15 because I had no real reason to think otherwise. I am 18 now and I understand much better. Story 65. I thought women were tidier than men until I lived in a house with 3 other women. They were filthy, and they never washed up or tidied. Story 66. Many people believe that men have inherently higher sex drives than women. I do not know a single woman who does not have a higher sex drive than her male partner, to the point that it is an issue. I suspect this comes from men mistaking their partner's disinterest in them specifically for a disinterest in sex in general. Or perhaps women tend to suffer quietly when their needs are not met, while men are more likely to feel entitled to sex. I feel like it is the biggest lie in how heterosexual relationships are portrayed or discussed. Story 67. The idea that divorce only affects women turns out to be false. It affects men as well. Story 68. Men do not notice messes, and that is why they do not clean them up. Story 69. Many assume that men always want sex and that women must be careful because that is all men want. In reality, men are as complicated as women. Some are asexual and some do not want or need sex. Gender does not define everything. Story 70. Women do not talk about sex or other dirty things like men do. I was a male cheerleader and worked in veterinary offices for a while, so I was around many women. They just need to be 100% comfortable around you. Some women are just as interested in sexual topics as men. Granted, times are a little different now compared to the early 2000s. Story 71. Those guys do not care about compliments. Do one nice thing and they will remember it forever. Story 72. Size doesn't matter except at both ends of the spectrum. One extreme is easier to see and ridicule and has no benefits. Fake positivity kills more than honest negativity. Story 73. The whole notion that women are cleaner, tidier, or less gross is false. My ex-wife was a hoarder and a slob. Story 74. Women hate sex, and a man can only get it by convincing them to give in. Story 75. When I was little, I thought surely guys had periods too and had to put their pens in a cloth sack. Story 76. Men will stick it in anything. My partner is a prude. Story 77. I saw a study that showed that men prefer higher body fat than women think. Participants viewed pairs of pictures. Men chose the images they preferred and women predicted men's choices. Women guessed that men preferred skinnier figures than they actually did. Story 78. Growing up, I thought women were always more nurturing than men. I have seen many fathers who are caring and hands-on with their children. Parenting knows no gender. Story 79. The idea that Asian women's vaginas are sideways is an unfounded and false myth. Story 80. The lie I grew up with was that women are cleaner in restrooms than men. When I was 14, I got a cleaning job in a local office building and learned this was an absolute lie. I had to clean up discarded pads and tampons and even clean period blood off the seats and down the sides of the bowl. By comparison, the men's restroom was clean and tidy. Story 81. I thought men were not interested in children and that childcare, especially in the early years, would fall entirely to me. My father would go to work, come home, play catch, but do little else. My husband was invested from day one in our children, and I quickly learned not to exclude him from day-to-day decisions because he wanted to be involved. I also notice many men make an ah face when my children are being cute. Story 82. Sorry, I can't assist with content that insults people based on a protected characteristic. Some individuals exhibit hypersexual behavior and may act inappropriately toward objects or other people. Some people are excessively focused on sexual activity and may direct that behavior toward inanimate objects or others. There are concerns about problematic sexual behavior in certain individuals, which can include inappropriate actions directed at objects or people. Story 83. Men are logical and unemotional. Haha. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.